She told their father she dropped both Sarah and Jacob at a new daycare in the area, but couldn't remember anything about it. That's when Turner got worried, and Catherine and he headed to the police station to report the children missing. The two stopped at a Chick-fil-A restaurant along the way, and Catherine Hoggle disappeared.
Welcome or welcome back, and thanks for being here. I'm Cassie, and this is A Wicked World. The story I have for you today is about two siblings who vanished back in September of 2014. To this day, they still haven't been found, and no one has been convicted of a crime. This is the story of Sarah and Jacob Hoggle. Sarah Grace Hoggle was born on November 20th, 2010, to her mother, Catherine Hoggle, and her father, Troy Turner. She loved wrestling with her dad and brothers, and also enjoyed playing with her dolls, too. Her father, Troy, called her his tomboy princess. Sarah's little brother, Jacob Gabriel Hoggle, was born a few years later, on July 3rd, 2012. He was a sweet, kind boy who loved to play with his siblings. Sarah, Jacob, and their older brother lived with their parents at their apartment located in Clarksburg, Maryland. Now, their mother, Catherine, was suffering from paranoia and schizophrenia. She had been prescribed medicine for both of these conditions, but whether or not she was taking it at the time is unknown because she had been known to lie about taking her medications in the past. Catherine had also been hospitalized back in 2013 for her mental health. Once she was discharged, her family put together a plan. Since the medication she was placed on would oftentimes make her heavily sedated, she was not allowed to drive, and she was not allowed to be around the children alone. On September 6, 2014, the family went to the park together, and they had a rather normal day. That evening, when Troy had to go into work, he brought Catherine and the children over to Catherine's parents' house. While her mother, Lindsay, wasn't home at the time, her father, Randy, was. Troy kissed his family goodbye and told them that he loved them. Sadly, this would be the last time that he would ever see 3-year-old Sarah and 2-year-old Jacob again. A few hours later, Catherine asked her father, Randy, if she could take the car to go grab some pizza with Jacob. He agreed, even though Catherine was not supposed to be driving and was not supposed to be around the children on her own. The mother was then gone for an entire 3 hours, and when she returned, she had no pizza and no Jacob. Catherine's mother, Lindsay, was home by now, and she asked her daughter where Jacob was. Catherine told her that the little boy was having a sleepover at his brother's friend's house. But keep in mind, he's only 2 years old, and 2-year-olds don't normally have sleepovers. Even though this should have been cause for immediate concern, no one informed Troy. Shortly after she arrived back with no pizza, Catherine, her father Randy, and the other 2 children traveled to Catherine and Troy's place for the night. Troy wouldn't arrive back home from work until close to midnight, and when he did, Catherine was sitting outside on the steps to their apartment, which he thought was rather odd. She told Troy that she needed to run to the store to grab a drink. Since he knew that Catherine's dad was spending the night and that his 3 children were likely in bed sleeping by now, Troy agreed. When they returned home, Troy checked Jacob's crib, and it was empty. But he thought that his son had just climbed out to sleep with his older brother, as this sometimes happened. Not wanting to wake the 2 boys and being tired anyways, he didn't check on them or Sarah. Instead, he just headed right to bed. However, the next morning, the couple's oldest son woke Troy up, and he noticed that the apartment was rather quiet. Catherine's father, Randy, had already gone into work, but he didn't know where Catherine, Sarah, or Jacob were. Troy also noticed that his minivan and his keys were gone, and this caused him to begin to panic. The father quickly got his oldest son ready for school, and then began calling around to see if anyone knew where Catherine, Sarah, and Jacob were. But no one knew where they were. So as Troy was waiting at the bus stop with his oldest son, he called 911. Just as he was doing so, Catherine pulled up and told Troy that she wanted him to be able to sleep in that morning, so she had brought Sarah and Jacob to a daycare. This was something that the couple had never done in the past, but it was something they had discussed, so at the time, Troy believed her. However, when it came time to pick them up later that day, Catherine started claiming that she could not remember what daycare center she had dropped them off at. She also said that she had no address and no phone number for the center. Troy now knew that something was seriously wrong, and he told Catherine that they were going down to the police station together. But she claimed they didn't need to go. She would bring him to the daycare where she had sent the kids, and they began to drive. On the way there, the couple stopped at a Chick-fil-A because Catherine claimed that she had just taken her medication, which made her sleepy, so she now needed a soda with caffeine to keep her awake so she could give Troy directions to the daycare. When Catherine then went inside the restaurant, she snuck off to the bathroom and told Troy that she was calling her mother to let her know that they were on the way to pick up the children and everything was fine. What she was really doing, however, was calling a cab company so she could make her escape. When Catherine came back out of the restroom and her and Troy were about to leave, she suddenly made an excuse and said that she needed to get a refill of her drink. Troy told her that was fine, and he would wait in the car for her. But it was at that time that Catherine disappeared. As soon as Troy realized what had happened, he contacted police, and they arrived at the scene shortly after.
They drove around for hours looking for that purported daycare, eventually stopping at Chick-fil-A for something to drink.
So I go back in, and I don't see her anywhere. Then I go into the women's bathroom looking for her. I go to the men's bathroom looking for her. I come back out, nowhere to be found.
Catherine's mother also showed up at the restaurant. That's when she finally told Troy that Jacob had been missing longer than he thought. In fact, no one had seen him since the afternoon before. It wasn't long until a massive search was underway for Catherine, Jacob, and Sarah. Missing person flyers were handed out and close to 10,000 acres were searched, but nothing was found. Police also released security footage that they'd obtained from the Chick-fil-A in hopes that someone had seen Catherine. Video was additionally discovered of the mother entering a federal building, wearing the same clothing that she'd been seen wearing at the Chick-fil-A. This building was about a mile away from the restaurant, and she was seen entering about 12 hours after she was seen leaving the Chick-fil-A.
Worried for his daughter and his grandchildren, Randy Hoggle begged her to come home.
Everyone here is committed to, if you just come and get help, we'll all help you. And for that, I just want to say, please come home. We miss you, and we miss the kids.
Now, Troy claimed that he had no idea that Catherine had any sort of mental illness until after they had already had children together. At the same time, there had definitely been some red flags throughout their relationship. One time, Catherine made a claim that there was a woman following the family who wanted to kill her and raise the children with Troy. She also accused him of cheating multiple times. And on a few occasions, Catherine would only speak to Troy when she had her hand over her mouth because she was afraid that others were listening. A few days into their search, investigators received a phone call from someone saying that they had seen Catherine, who changed her appearance, out in public. She was then apprehended, and when detectives spoke with her, she told them that her kids were with someone she knew and they were safe. Later on, she changed her story, however, and began telling them that Sarah and Jacob were at a local park. Then she offered to take police there. But once they were at the location, they found no signs of the children anywhere.
Hoggle was spotted by a citizen 4 days later in Germantown, described by police as having dirt under her fingernails, 2 missing persons posters about her kids, and a shorter haircut.
Major crimes investigators interviewed her for 15 hours. I will tell you, some of the best investigators on this department went in to talk with her, and our first and pretty much only question was, where are Jacob and where are Sarah?
Catherine Hoggle was placed under arrest, and she was charged with just misdemeanor child neglect. Due to her mental state, she was held at Perkins Hospital instead of behind bars. At the same time, the search for Sarah and Jacob continued.
Holding up the way we have to. The kids need us to be strong.
Today, Troy Turner is helping lead yet another search for his 2 toddlers, Sarah and Jacob Hoggle, whom he last saw 2 weeks ago.
I can't go into a puddle or anything. If I do that, we can't find them.
Hundreds arriving at the Seneca Valley High School this morning to show their support.
It just tears me up and tears both of us up that, these two, the young ones are out there without their dad and mom. We don't know where they're at or what's happened to them or anything. But it's going to be our job today to try to find those two kids.
Everybody know how to get there? Yes. Does anybody not know how to get there?
Split up into groups of 10, each team given a map, an area of Maryland to search.
Get a bottle of water, get a bottle of water.
Areas the police may have missed.
Okay. Have a good day.
Troy tried speaking with Catherine following her arrest, and she insisted that the kids were fine. She claimed she had given them to someone to watch until she could execute her plan to move elsewhere, like the beach or something. Supposedly, this person was just watching them until she could get her things together. But according to detectives, when she had gone out to get pizza with Jacob, she had really killed her son and then disposed of his body. Then either that night while Troy was at work or the next morning while he was still sleeping, she took Sarah out of the house and did the same thing to her. Authorities believe that the mother likely intended on killing her oldest child too. Troy also believes this to be true, and he thinks that if he had not gotten his oldest son on the bus that day, he also would no longer be here. Troy stated that while he and Catherine were out looking for Sarah and Jacob that first day, he had given their oldest son to Catherine's mother, Lindsay, to watch. This caused Catherine to freak out, however, and she claimed that she did not trust her mother with the children because she drank too much, which was something that Troy had never heard about prior to this. He believes that she was just upset that she was not able to finish her plan of getting rid of all 3 children. Shortly after Catherine was arrested and committed, she called her mother, saying that she wanted to speak to police. And everyone was hopeful that she was going to lead authorities to where the kids were. However, when a state attorney tried to speak with her, a judge turned down the request.
I have spent every moment since Sarah and Jacob disappeared 17 months ago compiling records, keeping track of things. I have talked to Catherine on and off for 6 months. She's cut some of that off now. This is about Sarah and Jacob. Everything I said in that affidavit is no different than I told Catherine Hoggle. That this is about Sarah and Jacob. This is not about anybody else. And so she continues to claim that they are with someone. So until this mystery is solved, that's my job, is to keep looking for it. And I appreciate John McCarthy and the work that he's done to challenge the court, to challenge the hearing. And I just look forward to resolving this mystery of Sarah and Jacob Hoggle. Thank you.
Ma'am, if you had a moment with Catherine, what would you say to her?
I have had many moments with Catherine, and I've said the same thing each time. This is the most unfair situation for the oldest sibling. That is where my heart breaks. Okay, we're adults. We can deal with some kind of tragedy. But it's not fair to the oldest sibling. And so as a mother, and I'm her mother, this needs to end. We need to solve this mystery, whatever the mystery is. And that's what I've said over and over again.
Time and time again from that point on, Catherine was deemed incompetent to stand trial. But according to Troy, she had seemed lucid and with it every time he had spoken to her after the children went missing. He claimed that Catherine even told him that she was just playing the system. Catherine's mother said something very similar and said that her daughter is definitely competent. She said that she understands the situation and just doesn't want to go to jail. Catherine is also reported to have tried to escape from Perkins Hospital multiple times. Troy said on his social media that she had tried to escape the psychiatric facility at least 8 times. Either by tying bed sheets together or taking a security card from staff. Now, the state of Maryland has laws that limit the amount of time that someone can be held with the goal of being found competent for court. For the misdemeanors that Catherine was charged with, the limit is 3 years. So as her 3-year limit approached, prosecutors indicted her and upgraded her charges to 2 counts of felony murder. With these upgraded charges, it meant that she now had a 5-year window in which she needed to be found competent to stand trial. In 2020, Catherine's mother, Lindsay, began saying that she believed that her grandchildren were alive and well somewhere, and she did not think that Catherine would have hurt them. She also said that at the time of Sarah and Jacob's disappearance, Catherine claimed that individuals within her close circle were threatening to have her committed again and have her children taken from her. According to Catherine's attorney, the mother was in the throes of paranoid schizophrenia with delusions. He said, and to think that anything she might recall or say that she recalls would not be credible in terms of this investigation. After once again being found incompetent to stand trial on multiple occasions, in 2022, a judge dismissed the murder charges against Catherine. However, the 38-year-old mother would remain at the psychiatric hospital until July of 2025. Once she was released, she went to live at a halfway house. But after only about a month of freedom, prosecutors were able to re-indict her on the murder charges. They stated that they now had new evidence in which the mother admitted to killing her children. Catherine had previously attended a group therapy session with Troy, and at one point she had made a comment to a woman who was also attending the sessions, saying that she had strangled her children. The prosecutor additionally described a drawing that he had seen that Catherine made. It was in response to a prompt made about eliminating stressors from your life, and it showed children being thrown into a trash can.
Hoggle's attorney, David Felsen, argued that Montgomery County prosecutors have not shown that she is legally fit to stand trial.
At least now in the case, that is the point. We don't prosecute people who cannot defend themselves.
Felsen says Hoggle's incompetency status was reaffirmed in 2022 and hasn't changed since.
She is still in the exact same place that she was as a legal matter back in 2022.
A hearing is currently scheduled for December of 2025, during which time it will be determined if Catherine is now able to stand trial. In the meantime, it's been ordered that she be transferred from Montgomery County Jail to a secure Maryland Department of Health facility. Even though there have been extensive searches for the children, and police traced what they could from Catherine's cellular activity from the days that Sarah and Jacob disappeared, they still have not found any traces of them.
What they were like.
Sarah, she was tough as nails and just amazing. And then Jacob, he was probably the sweetest out of, all my kids.
Sarah and Jacob Hoggle were 3 and 2 years old when Troy Turner last saw them.
So with 10 years just passing, obviously holidays, their birthdays, things like that, it's those times when you just look around and go, God, they should be here, and they're not.
Turner doesn't fully know how or why they're not.
Do you believe Sarah and Jacob are still with us?
Well, it depends on who you're asking. Like, if you're asking the logical side of my brain that looks at the facts, talks to the police and things like that, then I believe she probably killed them. If you're asking Sarah and Jacob's father, my job is to believe in my kids and try to find them. As a father, my kids are out there. They need me. In whatever capacity they're out there, they need me to be their father and continue to look for them.
On the night of September 6, 2025, the 11-year anniversary of when Sarah and Jacob went missing, their father, Troy, held a vigil for them. During this time, he said that he will either find his children one day or he will die trying.
I have not seen them in 11 years. They have never left our thoughts, our memories, or our dreams.
It's been 11 years since Troy Turner's children, Sarah and Jacob Hoggle, went missing.
Their names are carried in the hearts of all who love them.
In Germantown Sunday night, at a vigil meant to honor his 2 kids, Turner thanked those who stood by him as he sought justice.
I can't believe it's 11 years and we're still here. And at the same time, I can't tell y'all how much I appreciate the fact that it's been 11 years and y'all are still here.
Turner says he's focused on the same goal he's had since 2014, getting Sarah and Jacob back home.
People ask me, well, it's been this long, it's been that long. When do you and then that's where I just kind of stop and say, what, move on from my kids? I mean, I either find them or die trying. That's it.
Troy also runs a Facebook group called Find Sarah, Find Jacob, where he still actively posts in hopes of finding his little boy and little girl. Well, thank you for listening to Sarah and Jacob's story today. Sadly, I don't think there's any way that these 2 children are still alive after all these years. So I hope that their mother, Catherine, finally gets punished this time for what she did to them. How do you feel about this case? If you like true crime and you want to hear it from me, then don't forget to hit that subscribe button below. And turn on your notifications too, so you'll know when I upload a new video, which is at least 2 times every single week. Thanks for watching A Wicked World today. Until next time, take care. Bye. Thank you to all the patrons of A Wicked World. Now, there's even more of A Wicked World on Patreon, so check it out on patreon.com/awickedworld, or use the Patreon app. You'll have access to exclusive videos each month and more. Any support truly helps to make sure the victims are never forgotten, and to highlight the shortcomings of society associated with each case. Do you have a suggestion for a story you'd like to see me cover? If so, send me an email to awickedworldtruecrime@gmail.com.